Hey guys, welcome to my very first video that I'm going to be doing on this channel. Today I'm covering a missing persons case. In honor of the 28th anniversary of Michael's disappearance happening a couple weeks ago on March 24th, I wanted to cover his case just in hopes that it can get his face out there that much more and his name out there, and you never ever know what could come out of it, so I decided to make him the first missing persons case that I cover on this channel. I personally hate long intros, so without further ado, let's get into this case. Michael Wayne Dunahee was born on May 12th, 1986 in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. And this case actually hits close to home with me because I was born in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, so I've heard about this case my whole life, and it's just crazy to think that in the small city of Victoria something as tragic as this can happen. So this is another reason why I wanted to make this the first case that I covered. Michael was born to his loving parents by the name of Crystal Dunahee and Bruce Dunahee. He also had a little sister by the name of Caitlin, who was 6 months old at the time of his disappearance. The disappearance of Michael on March 24th, 1991 started as a typical Sunday afternoon when the family of four went to Blanchard Elementary School, where Michael's mother, Crystal, would play touch football at a women's league she had played with for a while. Bruce and Crystal decided to take the children so that they could just spend time out as a family together like any normal family would want. 4-year-old Michael, who was dressed in a blue hooded jacket, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle rugby pants, and blue sneakers, asked his mom if he could play at the nearby playground, which most 4-year-old boys would ask. Michael's mom, who reportedly later said that she had a gut feeling that something wasn't right, decided to let him go because she knew that the playground was visible to the field, and she told him to stay at the park, do not leave with anyone, and wait for his daddy to come. However, sadly, only a couple minutes later, when Bruce went to go be with Michael at the playground, he was nowhere to be found. Of course, panic struck immediately when they couldn't find the little 4-year-old boy. So 50 people in the surrounding area decided to help look. And when they couldn't find a single sign of him, Bruce and Crystal went to a neighboring home to get them to call the police because cell phones weren't really as much of a thing back then. I can't even imagine the panic you'd feel when maybe 10 seconds go by, you can't find your child, but when 50 people have looked everywhere and he is nowhere to be found, I can't even imagine. That's so heartbreaking. Soon after the call, the police quickly arrived, and the Dunahees would have no way of knowing that their son's case would go on to be one of the largest investigated cases in Canadian history. With over 11,000 tips being reported to the police were very quick to classify this as an abduction case versus a missing persons case, given the fact that he had been taken in mid-daylight, surrounded by kids playing in a park and parents, and no one had seen what happened. All the detectives from the Victoria Police Department were called in to work on Michael's case. And I have to give credit to the Victoria Police Department because, you hear so many cases where it's really incompetent police work and they don't take it seriously right away and they lose precious time, and that wasn't the case with Michael's case. The police were on it right away, took it seriously, and still to this day have not once given up hope that they will find Michael. Hundreds of tips were coming in throughout British Columbia and North America, and they had to be sorted out manually. The police have actually said that if they had the resources that we have today in terms of DNA techniques and video surveillance and a computer system that can sort out tips instead of manually, they think that they would have had a way better chance at finding Michael. Even though the police didn't really have the technology that we have today back then, they still used every single resource that they could get their hands on. They looked through sex offenders, they questioned every single person in the surrounding area, and followed up on every single lead that they got. Unfortunately, it didn't lead to anything. However, there was one witness who says that there was a brown van just hanging around the area at the time of Michael's disappearance. A month after the abduction of Michael, the police actually staged the exact scenario where they put a brown van exactly where the witness said it was, right by Blanchard Elementary School, just to see if it could jog anyone's memory, if they could be like, oh, you know what, I think I did see a kid get into that van, or I think I did see suspicious activity, but Unfortunately, no one's memory was jogged and nothing came out of this. In early 2009, the US police came across a missing persons poster of Michael in the home of 62-year-old Michael Scheitz, not entirely sure, but he lived in Milwaukee. Seitz actually told his psychiatrist that he had killed a child in 1959 and that he knew of another child killing. But before he could be questioned any further, when the police went to go raid his home, he was found dead of natural causes. However, they did make discoveries in his basement of child pornography and missing persons case files from the 1980s to the 1990s. They also found books of cannibalism, nude boys in bondage, blonde human hair, and a bone. This is when authorities found the Michael Dunahee poster in the basement, but even more suspicious, they found a map of Millstream Park, which while it isn't in Milwaukee, it is actually northwest of the city of Victoria, where Michael Dunahee was taken, and it also leads to remote areas, which, you know, it just sounds suspicious. So investigators tried to track his movements from the 1980s to the 1990s to see if he had made a trip to Canada at any point, specifically British Columbia, the province where Michael was taken. There hasn't been too much information about what came out of that. In 2011, near the 20th anniversary of Michael's disappearance, the police received a call about a man who lived in Chase, BC, which is about a 7-hour drive away from Victoria. Apparently, he looked a lot like Michael Dunahee, but DNA testing showed that it indeed was not Michael. In 2013, a man who went by the username Canuckle posted on the official website of the Vancouver Canucks that the police were coming to get a DNA test from him because they believed that he could be Michael Dunahee. The police did get a blood sample from this man who lived in Surrey, British Columbia, but it was not Michael Dunahee. Through all the heartbreak and turmoil that Michael Dunahee's family has been facing, Crystal Dunahee, Michael's mother, has actually turned his disappearance into doing something good. She became an advocate for missing children in BC and also served as the president of Child Find British Columbia. In 2002, she was in talks with the Royal Canadian Mounted Police with hopes that she could get the Amber Alert system implemented across British Columbia. She strongly believed that if an Amber Alert system had existed back when Michael was abducted in 1991, he would have been located. And because of Crystal Dunahee's efforts, the Amber Alert system is now implemented in most regions of Canada. I think that's amazing. The community of Esquimalt, which is part of the metropolitan area of Michael's hometown, holds an annual charity event called the Michael Dunahee Keep the Hope Alive Fund, and it's committed to help keep children safe. The event is run by Michael's little sister Caitlin, which I think is amazing, and props to her for doing this for him. Michael's case remains open, with officers and investigators still working tirelessly to find out what happened to Michael and where he is. Michael's family remain hopeful that one day a single tip will come in that will lead them to the answers and the closure that they've been waiting for, and most importantly, lead them to their precious son, Michael. If you know of anything or see of anything at all that could help bring Michael home, please call the number 250-995-7444. Thank you guys so much for watching. I think it's so important to get faces and names out of these people who are missing and their families have no answers. So again, thank you so much for watching. I will get better at this with practice. If you want me to cover a specific case, just leave it in the comments and I will cover it. So thanks again, guys.
So hey there, young thing, it's gonna be okay. That's what I try and tell myself.